for something like 46 years. And I think most of us will know that marriage isn't particularly easy. And so I thought it would be good to have some advice from people who have had a lot more experience in it than I have, at least. So I wonder whether you could tell us what are the biggest kind of needs? What are the big things that you've learned?
Advice?
Yes.
It's questionable. I think one of the biggest things for me, I think for us, was learning how to communicate well together. Whenever we were married at first, I was a school teacher, David was a salesman. He would go to work and talk to random people all day, and I would go to work and talk to children all day. I would come home and need to talk about the day and needed a bit of adult communication. David didn't. David just wanted to be quiet. So that was a hard enough thing to get our heads around, how we communicated well together. And the other thing was David's a fixer. David's still a fixer. I'm not a fixer. I don't need fixed. I need somebody to listen to me. David felt that he needed to sort out all my problems. I just needed to talk about some stuff. So the balance between fixing and listening was hard enough for us to come to terms with. Listening being half of communication was something that we needed to get our heads around in order to understand how to move forward with some of the difficulties.
Excellent.
That we
Thank
had.
you.
And I just want to point out that I have been in the slow learners class for a long time. But she's right. And I think in terms of the work that we put into our marriage, we did a course called the Marriage Course, which was by Holy Trinity Brompton, Nikki and Cilla Lee. And we did that, we were married about 20 years. And it's the best course that I've ever been on. And I've had loads of courses with IBM, loads of education, but it's the best course. And it really focused on every aspect of marriage and challenged us to think through how we were acting and reacting in that. And it covered simple stuff like your love languages, which if you haven't read the book, it's important to understand what your partner's love language is. Mary's and mine are very different, and I had to learn that. And deeper things that were perhaps in our family history before we'd met together came out during that course, and it was incredibly helpful to understand what had happened in our past. And even simple things like date night. We've tried to plug date nights into our marriage for quite a while now, and it is important. So that's some of the things.
Thank you. So it's important to work at our marriages. Can you think of a couple of common pitfalls, particularly, which mean that we have to particularly work hard together?
I mean, there's so many things that can go wrong in life. There's so many frictions that come in life: money, children, parents, work commitments, and those are all very big things. And you need to work around all of that, and not forget about your marriage. You know, your marriage in the middle of all of that can get lost, and it's important it sort of becomes less of a priority, and it's very important to not let that happen. So there are the big things, but there are also the trivial things. We have a washing machine story, which I will share with you. After we were married, my lovely mother-in-law gave me a twin tub washing machine. Now, those of you who know what a twin tub was will understand. Those of you who don't, they're in the museum. But anyway, the twin tub required me to take heavy loads of washing. It required you to be there all the time when the washing was being done, which was fine. Washing has to be done, that's fine. Saturday morning, David went to play golf, and I got the washing machine. But the problem was that our house backed onto the golf course. So I stood on a Saturday morning fighting with wet clothes while I watched David play golf outside. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, But I became quite resentful about that. And I didn't say anything about it. I just let the resentment of that build up and up and up. And for weeks and weeks, I just built this resentment, which transferred into other areas of our life, which was just ridiculous. Eventually, after quite a long time, it all spilled out. And the problem was solved in less than 10 minutes. Because as soon as I said to David about the issue, he said, well, let's buy an automatic washing machine. Problem solved. The problem was because I didn't just say what was on my mind. So those issues around communicating, not listening, and allowing things to build up that don't need to be a problem.
Thank you.
Yeah, I wasn't always that good. For me, one of the important things to recognize through our marriage has been that although marriage is a partnership, it's not a requirement that everybody does 50% of what needs to be done. My phrase is, you play to your strengths. And in our early married life, I thought I had an opinion. I thought I had an opinion about furniture, about decor, about all the things that were important to us as young married people. Wrong. Actually, I did have an opinion, but it had a half-life of about 20 seconds. And over the time, I have realized that actually Mary's strength is decor, furnishings, putting things together. Mine is not. So I don't interfere. And equally, if a letter comes into our house where Mary's name is typed on the envelope, it just gets handed to me because I do money. Mary's very careful with our money, but she doesn't understand where it is, thankfully. She doesn't know how much we've got, but she's quite happy to trust me. And I think that the bottom line is that you need to build trust in one another's abilities and have the confidence to say, yep, I'm going to happily let you be that, and I trust your decisions. And she trusts mine with the cash, which is good.
Thank you. So we are pretty much out of time. But if you could just one thing that you wish you could tell yourself or encourage yourself with 40 years ago, what would it be?
I'm a bit of a worrier, and I always worried that I was in God's will. And actually, now I would trust him a heck of a lot more than I did. Looking back, I can see God's hand in so much of our married life. We never got writing on the wall. We never had, God's voice speaking to us. But trusting God would be the big thing. My go-to would be keep God in the center of your marriage, communicate well, compromise often, and listen.